Yeah, I think there might have been crossfire there. I just happened to come into the stream at the same time you were kind of shouting at somebody else. I don't know if I'm actually
I
him.
wasn't
So
shouting, no, but no, I was responding to a comment. So
yeah, no, well, no problem.
I
I
don't.
wasn't trying to be hostile. I was just letting you know that whoever it is you were engaging with
Oh, I
isn't
know
me.
you're not the person. I can read the chat. I can see their name.
Well, okay, I'm glad you can read. But anyway, I did want to kind of dive in on this idea of the moral argument. Why would it be immoral to be a lesbian? So the question stems from, let's start with harm reduction. If you're a harm reductionist, lesbians have the highest rate of domestic violence.
You missed our whole chat earlier. We already went over this.
Now, well, let's go over it again.
Okay. Okay, well, let's go over again. I only have 10% battery left, so it's going to have to be quick. But again, so the statistic is that yes, lesbians receive. So I'll go over the stats. So I want to be very transparent about it. It says this is one research study from UCLA. This is the one that everybody's jumping on. Okay. So only one research study from 2015 before people were even allowed to get married. That's weird. So it says that 25% of gay men, 40% of lesbians, 28% of, or sorry, 29% of heterosexual men, and 32.5% of heterosexual women all experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime. However, one third of that 40% experience intimate partner violence from a male partner. It has nothing to do with what
So then two
gender the
thirds don't.
person was. Correct. Two
Yeah, so
thirds
then if
of the
two-thirds of them
40%.
don't, then that would mean that you would be reducing harm significantly by not by involving yourself in a lesbian relationship.
No,
Yes,
you turned it around. Listen again.
I'm listening.
2/3 of the 40, okay. 1/3 of the lesbians that experienced intimate partner violence
Hmm.
experience them from a male partner because lesbians typically have male partners before having entering into female relationships.
Okay,
Okay.
so one
That is
third,
a
one third
thing
get
that
it from a male
happens.
partner, and two
One
thirds are
third
getting
of
it
the
from what?
40%. Right. And then so from their female partners.
Hmm. So two-thirds. So then the vast majority are still being abused by the female partner. Correct?
That's not okay, but still, that puts them at the same rate as heterosexual women.
Nope, that would still put them at a higher rate. Go ahead and read the
Yes,
stats again.
40, okay, 40%
Hmm.
of lesbians are getting, their experience, and this is again just one study.
Hmm.
So, like, you can take it or leave it. And this is a study before people of the same sex could even legally be married. So that's another like caveat that you guys don't think about.
Why
Okay.
would that be a
So
caveat?
one third, because it changes the dynamics of a relationship when you legally get married.
So I'm trying to
So
make
one
sure that
third,
I,
hang on,
you know,
one third of 40%. Okay. So let's say we have 100 lesbians. 40 of them are going to experience intimate partner violence according to this one study. Okay. But one third of that 40, so 12 of them are going to experience intimate partner violence from a male partner.
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. However, I have counter
So
stats.
that leaves only
Hmm.
28 if you right. So that means
Yeah, but there's a
28%.
distinction. There's
Hang on. No, there's not. Hang on 1 second. So 28%. So what
mm-hmm.
is higher, 33% or 28%?
Well, 33%.
Oh, okay, because that's how much intimate partner violence heterosexual women receive from or experience from their male
Yeah,
partners.
but you're leaving out critical data.
So it's actually
Hmm.
no, I'm not leaving
I'm
out
gonna
any
I'll
critical
explain
data.
it to you. You just keep
You
filibustering.
left you're not fucking listening to me. You got 2 fucking seconds to shut the
You're just
fuck up.
screaming. Stop screeching.
Okay, bye. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna speak to you.
Why?
That's
Why not?
ridiculous.
You're just screaming.
Because you're a bigot.
What?
Because you're an asshole.
All I did was explain.
And I was trying to.
What? What the fuck? What the fuck? What did I do? I didn't even do anything. She just fucking lost her mind. What did I do? What the fuck? What? Oh, she left out the whole bisexual portion of that study. That's why I had pulled it up so that I could explain that to her, but she just lost her fucking mind, dude. That was pretty funny. She just like, that chick went fucking berserk. I didn't even say anything. I didn't even say it. She's like, you're a bigot. I said, what? What? What the fuck, dude? Now you see why the domestic violence rate is so high. Look how aggressive they are. The fuck? That was pretty funny.
Race, from the worldview of you, the leftist, does not exist. It is not a biological reality. So if that is true, and it's not a biological reality, it's just a social construction, just like gender is, you would have to explain why in the world it is that you would be willing to concede to one of these delusions but not the other.
I think it's because with a race, there's a lot more behind it than just wanting to identify as a different gender.
Why? It's just a social construct, right?
No, because there's things that go along with race in general. Like there is like racism, the idea of racism. You aren't going to...
Yeah, but like the idea of transphobia, it would be the same exact thing, right? You can have a social construction and then you can have a bias against the social construction. Doesn't make it any less of a social construction.
What does this have to do with women not being able to own, like have their own credit cards or open a bank account in their own...
Well, because women not being able to have bank accounts and credit cards because they weren't allowed to incur debt. This was great because right now the biggest holders of debt in the United States are women. It's crushing for most women. Before that, men had to incur all the debt. So the wife could go out and spend all of the money that she wanted in her husband's name, and he had to incur the debt even post-divorce. He still had to take care of the debt. She had none of it in her name. This was one of the primary arguments against feminism from the anti-suffragettes, is that they did not want to incur debt. And now women have racked up tons and tons of it.
So just to be clear, you dated a man...
I didn't date him.
Oh, you...
No, I didn't date him. Yeah.
What? So wait.
Well, most of the dom situations were virtual, but this particular person was my best friend, and he was just into it, and I was like, okay, I'll try it out. Like, why not?
And did you guys ever have sex?
No.
What? So
they're not allowed to have sex.
What did you get out of it?
A clean house and
so
money
he's your
for
slave?
free. Pff, yeah. Foot rubs, all kind of shit. Anything I told him to do.
Simping ain't easy.
And money.
And so he would climax?
No. If he did, he had to fucking clean it up with his mouth.
No, but you said he would because...
Yeah, like at his house.
Oh,
Didn't have shit to
not
do
at
with
your
me.
place?
No kind of sexual relationship. I mean, I guess you could say it's sexual in nature, but yeah, no.
Holy shit.
It's like
Did I send the
cosplaying.
asteroid? Did I send the asteroid? Sending the fucking asteroid on this shit.
I would never date someone who is
It's pathetic.
submissive like that.
That's just... yeah, I mean...
She dommed him
And you,
too.
wait, oh, you guys both got a turn, huh? Yeah.
Oh boy.
I was going to ask you, did he ever wear a red curly wig with bangs?
No,
Because
no
I had him
wigs.
over at my house once, and then my wig came up missing. You know he likes to dress like a girl, so I thought it was him.
I never saw him wear a wig.
Also, I think he's in the chat because he's obsessed with us.
Why are you so
You
obsessed
should
with
you
me?
should dom him right now and tell him to do a champagne class.
Class Full 20 donated $200. Purple hair chick is putting on an act, blonde is toxic, and raven chick is an enabler of her own problems. Listen to the woman to your right. Great panel, Brian. Enjoy
you.
being here.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Moss
Like-
Food 20. Thank you, man. Appreciate your support.
I'm an enabler to mom problems.
Your name is new, so welcome, man. Really appreciate. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the army.
Britney Spears.
Let me reiterate. I'm 27 now, and I was 19 when this happened.
It's even worse. It's even worse. It's like. Oh.
No, it's at that age where you're experimenting with what you like.
You made him wear a chastity belt, which reduced his size.
He loved it. They love it. The sub is always really the one in control. Like, they usually are the ones orchestrating it.
It's just like...
I mean, it's not something... I would not date someone
I don't
like
even
that.
have words for this. I just got to shake my head.
Alrighty then.
Try it. Like, I'll try
Were
anything
you
once
ever,
and see if I
did
vibe
you ever
with
feel
it.
pressured in that situation because he was your best friend and he was coming to you with this?
No, I just ignore him if I wasn't
check,
feeling it.
but-
And I do now. I'm like, when I was married, I ignored him totally.
Did it change your level of respect for him?
No, whatever. He's into weird shit. Who cares? I'm a libertarian. I don't give a fuck what you do as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else.
Yes.
Now, my personal principles may not be the same as like what I think is cool for other people to do. But yeah, I mean, do what you do.
I had a dude that wanted me to put an egg in his, and that was just a red flag for me. I'm like, nah, I'm not into that shit. I'm not putting anything in your asshole. Like, this is not something I'm into. Bye. Kid rocks.
Yeah, I agree. I guess there are a couple things that I won't try once.
Nah, yeah, I'm not into that.
Just not into it.
I'm not into demasculating men. Honestly, I'm not. I'm not into it.
Anyways,
I could even-
going back to your notes here. So you used to be a stripper. How long were you stripping?
For like 4 years in my early adult life.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said the feminist take on 50-50 and how it's often low-key pick-me behavior
Yes.
disguised as empowerment. What do you mean?
Okay, so who is winning in that situation? Because and every relationship dynamic is different. Okay, so I'm not trying to generalize everybody. But for the most part, the woman typically does the emotional labor. She's typically going to do most of the cleaning. She's typically going to do most of the childcare. I can tell you this in my own marriage. And
Okay, well, maybe some of that other stuff, but the emotional labor, like, okay, that's whatever.
you don't think so? I feel like it's usually women who like initiate, let's go to couples therapy and stuff like that.
Might as well just
Well,
get
again,
divorced.
that's why I'm saying it's not like it's not every relationship, but generally.
If my girl comes to me, we need therapy. Let's just skip right to the chase. Here's the divorce papers.
So that's
I
her.
ain't going
That proves my
there.
point.
Literally
She's
pointing
doing the
fingers.
emotional labor
I'm not
to keep
going
the
to a
relationship
fucking
going.
liberal therapist. So some woke liberal therapist, so that the therapist can affirm the woman's position, because most therapists tend to
That
be
is
women,
absolutely
and then
not
they
the
tend
case.
to be biased
my,
towards women.
My therapist.
No, I'm not doing
with
the
my
therapy.
husband, we did marriage therapy, and
Yeah.
our therapist was a man,
Yeah.
and he absolutely held me accountable on shit that I did wrong. Absolutely.
Okay, most therapists probably aren't like that.
Who hurt
But
you,
you don't go
Brian?
to therapy, so where are you getting this information from?
More
I don't go to therapy.
generalizations.
Okay, exactly. So the woman's doing the emotional labor. So you just literally
What
proved my
does
point.
therapy have to do with who's doing the emotional labor?
That's
in a
just one
relationship?
example. Like if the woman is
What
like,
evidence do you have that women
if
are doing the emotional
If she's
labor?
saying, I want us to go to therapy so that we can keep the marriage going, and you're like, fuck that, then
Well,
she's
that's
obviously
me.
putting forth the work.
That's me.
Okay, and I think that's generally
That's
But he
how
could
it
have
goes.
his reasonings for why.
Anyway, the point is, they usually do most of the
What's an
childcare.
example? Hold on. Let's talk about emotional labor, because this is such a buzzword. What does that even mean?
Okay,
To labor emotionally. Articulate what it means.
I'm not gonna. Okay, typically women are gonna stay with a man who cheats on them, and they're like, "Oh, I love you enough. I'll just deal
What's
with
that
it.
have
I'll
to do
stay
with
with
emotional
you."
labor?
It's emotional labor. It takes a woman through
Okay,
emotional pain.
let's both agree that cheating's wrong. Give me an
Okay.
example in a healthy relationship where
Let's go to
somebody's
therapy. That is the
Hold on.
example.
In a healthy relationship, what is an example of emotional labor?
Let's say we have a
Going
communication
to okay,
issue.
why are you
Okay, if we have a communication
Outside
issue.
of therapy. Outside of therapy.
Give me an example, because I don't see how that would be an emotional labor.
Yeah, what is emotional labor?
What is-
Emotional labor
They use these
is-
words, they don't even know what they mean.
That's what I heard, and I went to bed after that last super chat. I did have to kind of confront a guy who was mouthy to me in your chat. Who told me that I had a 50% what did he call it? Bad faith argument ratio. And I'm like, well, what bad faith have I said? And he's like, well, you ask bullshit questions. I'm like, I don't ask any questions. I throw grenades and I see what happens. That's what I do. It's my thing on the whatever.
Oh.
And but it was funny. I have a good time with it.
Yeah, I didn't catch that exchange.
That's all right. It was just fun. It was a good time.
You know how you after a while you get like the hardwired time thing where you can go to bed at 2 hours before you normally get up, and you're still going to be up at that time no matter what.
Yeah, to this day, I get up at
Yeah.
5:30 every morning. Cannot
That,
stop it.
that's basically where I'm at. Is so I have kind of something of a set schedule when I go to sleep, when I wake up, and it's just kind of more of a third shift schedule, right?
Okay.
So
10 to 6.
so
Then, yeah.
yeah, so and I just wake up, same, you know what I mean, same time, no matter what. So anyway, to kind of dive in on this, yeah, I was actually kind of surprised at the avenue taken there. So my understand was that body odor, BO, he was going to take care of Lawrence's expenses. And so I kind of have a theory as to why this is coming up as a problem suddenly out of the blue. So he was using Glenn as a proxy to, set various things up, right? Well, it appears that they had this kind of falling out, and the timing of the falling out is really bizarre. And what it's over is even more bizarre, right?
Well, the whole the Zerka thing, right?
Yeah, that he said that Zerka's his friend. It's like, so what? You know what I mean?
Right.
What? Who cares? But nobody would care about that. No rational, reasonable actor would give a shit that Glenn Lawrence has said that Zerka's his friend. Just how that would equate to, even if everything said about Zerka's true, how would that be a problem from Glenn's perspective that he said that? I don't even understand that. That's kind of the dumbest shit that I've ever heard.
It's a really interesting thing because, I was watching Glenn's podcast about that yesterday, and I was listening to it as I was working on my airplane, which is a great thing to do while you're working on an airplane is listen to somebody, go over stuff that's just so weird, so weird. And just the way it went
why don't you rub in that you have an airplane one more time for me, Grid? Go one more time.
I'm putting it in my intro roll next. Not my personal one. I'm putting it in my intro roll. Yeah, I am.
That's fair.
And
that's fair.
And not my personal airplane, because mine's still being, I'm getting it ready for paint, but one that is very similar to mine, and it's a badass footage. And so it was really weird the way that Base just kind of like out of the fucking blue sends him a tweet about asking him about, hey, did you see this? Like, you couldn't do that on a Discord PM, or you couldn't do it in a way that would give Glenn time to look at it and think about it. And, of course, Glenn was like, I'm working. I'm not paying any attention, which is the exact answer I would give. Half the time, half the shit that I get through the day, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll look at it later, because I don't have, I'm doing something. And so I would absolutely understand Glenn's point of view. I can't see Base's point of view of how he gets from A to fucking Y. It's got to be the most convoluted alphabet trail ever to get there.
And well, it just makes no sense. Who cares, right?
And I'm with Glenn. I'm with Glenn's.
Just who gives a shit?
Yeah, I'm with Glenn's position that what he's trying to do is, get rid of Glenn, push Glenn out, right? Or create this tension between him and Glenn, so he can say, well, Glenn can't be my moderator anymore. I'm not paying for that fucker. And then not do the debate. I told my wife last night, I said, I don't think he's going to go to the debate. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's building in excuses. He's front loading in all of the possible excuses he can have. Now, I don't know. He publicly invited me. I will be happy to moderate. Since I've already made plans to be there. If Glenn,
but you're going to,
I will pay my own expenses.
Okay, so you're going to but that's kind of letting him off the hook, right?
At this point, I want to see him get his ass kicked bad enough that I'll put skin in the game.
Okay. Well, the thing is like, I don't care. If you want to moderate, I'm fine with that. If he says publicly that he's fine with that, I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit.
It's on tape.
But
Chat, lock it
the
down.
thing that gets me is Glenn was supposed to be the guy who was going to secure a studio for this or secure some
Yeah.
area where we could do this debate, this kind of thing. So absent him doing the debate, what was the alternative to this supposed to be exactly?
Well, originally, what I had thought, and I could be wrong because I've really only focused on the agreement part. I didn't go back through the earlier part of that discussion. My recollection is that you had said that you were open to doing it in your place and based in your studio, and objected to that, and that's why Glenn said, "Well, I've got a guy who has a studio in the area."
Yeah, I'm not letting. I mean, no reasonable man's going to let this guy anywhere near him. I'm not going to let this guy anywhere near my house.
Yeah. I would not now for
Yeah.
sure. He's
Yeah,
shown
I'm
himself
not.
to act in such bad faith and such
Yeah, I'm
sort of
not gonna. Well, I'm not doing that. No fucking way.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
it's just so erratic.
But I shouldn't. I also shouldn't need to. Right. If he wants to do this debate, then and he demands it in person, not in video. You know what I mean? He could easily have done the way it would have saved everybody a lot of time, effort, and money, including him. If he just been like, well, we'll just do a video debate, and I'll pay you $1,000, right? Because I want to do it so bad. That still would have saved him a ton more money, but he demanded it's in person. So I think it's just kind of the pride of trying to keep up with his own demands.
Yeah, his ego's writing the checks, and now he's all of a sudden they're due, right?
Yeah, now all of a sudden they're due, but it's really a strange dynamic because Body Odor is really unlikable, right? He's just a straight up unlikable person, and Glenn Lawrence is not. Glenn Lawrence, on the other hand, is a very, very likable, affable person. It's very hard. It's very hard for people to dislike Glenn. And one of the kind of endearing qualities that the guy has is that he comes off as being so fucking genuine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing that makes him such a likable guy. He comes off as being very genuine. He doesn't come off as having kind of these alternative agendas, or that he's rushing for clout, or that he's doing any of those things. He just comes off as very genuine. So when kind of this idea comes up that we need to question Glenn's integrity, and I'm doing the internet call out where I'm a kind of holier than thou virtue signaling that I am the new tone policeman of the entirety of the internet. It comes off looking really bad, and this fight with Glenn looks very disingenuous. It looks like it's opportunistic rather than some kind of real beef. You know what I mean? It just looks opportunistic.
Yeah, it really does. I agree with that. I think that to me, it looks desperate as fuck. I'm just going to be honest. The whole thing, and the entire lead up to this, where he came at me on Raging Tomato right after you left, actually. And he's come at me a couple of times. He's now coming at, he came at Easy, and now he's coming at Glenn. It's a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, well, and remember that Speakeasies who really helped Based Oracle begin to get out in the community and grow his channel. And it was because I was sending people over to Speakeasies chat and told Based Oracle, look, it would be a really good idea for you to engage in these panels, right? Because everyone's always asking, where should I cut my teeth? Where should I start debating? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just start participating. Well, Speakeasy has kind of a smaller show. Yeah. And so he needs people to come on these panels to debate. So it's kind of the perfect arrangement where people can get some experience cutting their teeth and see if they like it or not. Well, it turns out most people enjoy having a bit of back and forth. They enjoy having, participate in those panels. And Based Oracle's no different. He enjoyed participating in those panels. But What's interesting is it seems like every person this guy comes into contact with ends up hating him. So I mean, who's the common denominator here?
Right. And the thing is everybody else likes each other, right? Like I get along with Easy, I get along with Glenn, I get along with you, I get along right now. I get along with everybody except Bo. And I actually didn't have anything against him until he told me that I washed your balls, which was weird, and I didn't like that, so I don't like him. So
yeah, but again, it's absent likability. So the thing is the guy doesn't need to like me, and he could even engage with you and be like, look, here's some things I disagree with this guy on.
Sure.
Let's engage, blah 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 blah. But that's never the kind of seething, overwhelming jealousy which is there. Leads to the you're a ball washer, you're you know what I mean. All of that really is it's seething jealousy. Like people don't talk that way unless they're super fucking unless they're upset, right? Unless they're actually upset. I can't believe you support this guy. I can't believe you. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of this it's kind of the seething mentality of a person who is just fucking. I've never thought any after hearing that yesterday.
Well, he did it
So
while
was
you.
like,
By the way, they arranged that while you were on whatever, which I thought was very interesting as well. They that was
I don't
it
know.
seemed to be a very suspicious time to have that specific interview.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm willing to say that there was anything nefarious going on with that though. So
Yeah,
it could have just been the timing. But it doesn't matter. I wouldn't have been able to listen live anyway. But I was able to go back and listen to some of the highlights, and I was just like, what?
Right,
So
right.
Now Glenn's not moderating, and he's a PDF supporter, a PDF file supporter, and he's a bad person, and he made this up and that up, and it's just like all of it seems like such pedantic bad faith nonsense, you know.
What's your take on Based saying that to Glenn, and then Glenn responding very reasonably that, okay, yeah, sure, but nothing's been proven. We know Zerka does things for to go viral. There's, obviously something wrong because nobody's been arrested and these girls had fake, there's some documentation of a fake ID being used, and there were there were checks for these girls to even get to Zerka to make sure they were legal. What do you think about the way Base just dismissed all of that as it doesn't matter? He's still a PDF file and you support him. What's your take on that?
So it was actually pretty funny. I was laughing because BO he thought it would be fun to throw out this line, right? So Glenn says, well, when the facts are out, I think I'll make a decision then, right? So Glenn, who's been around the manosphere for a long time, has seen so many various accusations, setups, LARPs, and various things going on that he's distrustful. He's like, look, it's possible, but there also could be more going on than meets the eye. And until I have some more facts of this, or the facts of the matter, I'm not willing to come down one way or the other. So he's basically just saying, look, I don't feel like right now I have enough information to make a good determination. Now, usually most people would say, okay, that's fair. That's not saying that you won't make a judgment. It's just saying that you don't think that there's enough evidence yet to make a judgment. Okay, that's reasonable.
Sure.
But not BO. BO says, well, when are you going to have enough evidence to make a judgment? So this creates a false dilemma, right? The false dilemma that you're walking into then is that you have to give some threshold for evidence, which is unknowable. It's unknowable what the threshold of evidence would be for it to be convincing to Glenn. Just that there could be evidence that convinces him, right? Now,
Right.
what makes this doubly stupid is our criminal justice system works the exact same way, which is reasonable doubt. So it has to be evidence which a person decides beyond reasonable doubt that the person is innocent or guilty. Well, what's funny about that is that's subjectively interpreted. Reasonable doubt, right? There's no threshold of evidence given. Meaning, if you discover the gun on the scene and the bullet and the guy's fingerprints on the gun and this and that, that doesn't necessarily equate to reasonable doubt. So, so what's the threshold here when he says, "Well, I demand, Glenn, that you tell me the threshold of evidence and when you will kind of render your verdict." And Glenn's like, "How the fuck would I know? Just, it would have to be some reasonable standard that's convincing." But the very first thing he does is go to a kind of false dilemma. Very low tier debating, by the way. Low tier, and yeah, I would have ripped that to pieces because that was an insane statement. To make it Glenn, but the whole point of making it was to discredit Glenn, right? Like, oh, you have made up your mind, right? You're just covering your ass or something like this, rather than taking the guy at face value that he's just not convinced by whatever the current evidence is, and he wants to give this guy the benefit of the doubt or reasonable doubt until there's enough evidence which gives him enough assurance that he can ditch the reasonable doubt, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even if you're willing to just say, look, I'll speculate that, my point of view on Zerka prior to hearing Glenn's podcast about how he does this stuff to go viral, my point of view was, yeah, he probably did it and he got caught. So what? He's a degenerate. Degenerates do degenerate things. No big deal. No surprise on my part. Everything's okay. And I wouldn't have come at Glenn about it because even if Glenn is Zerka's friend, he's not his brother's keeper. That doesn't mean that he approves degenerate behavior, right? Like,
yeah, but let's say he was. Like, let's just grant it for a second. Let's grant.
Granted that he's.
Let's grant. Let's grant that he's his best friend. Let's grant that he's his closest friend that Glenn's ever had. That they're like, when they were 10, they grabbed a Coke can and they cut themselves and they smeared each other's blood in the wound and became blood brothers. Let's just assume it. Okay, let's assume it.
I like it.
What kind of shitty friend would you be if an allegation drops and before you have any real kind of standard of evidence or the facts of the case, you turn on your friend?
And no one's been arrested, and nobody's really talking about facts yet.
Yeah, but who would want a friend like that? Who would want a friend who's like, well, okay, this tweet came out, and that's it for you.
It's all the information I have.
It's all the info. Yeah, exactly. What kind of friend would that be?
The most fucked up kind.
Yeah, the shitty kind, right?
Right.
Wouldn't that be the shitty kind? I mean, what doesn't the good friend go with you even to court? He believes you. He thinks that you're telling the truth about things. You have your own side of the case. And then maybe after it all shakes out, you go, okay, well, you're a piece of shit. You fucked up. And maybe now we can't be friends or something like that.
Right? Glenn has a track record of this. When the charges came out against the Tates, he's like, hey, I'm not, they're my buddies, but no, I'm not condemning them, and I'm not saying they're innocent. I'm not saying they're guilty until all the facts are in. And as the facts come in, Glenn's like,
oh, you mean he's a reasonable person?
He is a normal human being with a fully functioning brain.
Right. He's a reasonable person who goes, well, look, because of the various smears and the smear merchants who exist on the internet and all the enemies these various people may have, there could be many people out there who have agendas, who twist facts for their own good, and they can make them look like they're irrefutable until later examined, right? So until I have a good, clear picture I'm not willing to like go to my friend and say that he's a PDF file. I'm not willing to go to this person and claim that they're a sex pest. I'm not willing, you know what I mean? I'm not willing to do those things. That is completely
And
reasonable.
let's take it another step, Andrew. How about let's say that you know because Glenn said, yeah, I'd still be his friend, right? Okay, I can still be friends with a degenerate. I just disagree with all their degenerate acts. I don't have to cut that person out of my life. As a matter of fact, how moral is it if I do cut that person out of my life? Because I should be telling him, hey, fucker, stop doing this stupid degenerate shit. Just like I'm going to use beaten cheeks as an example. Every time he calls me, I say, hey, what's up, degenerate? And
Yeah.
I give him crap about
But there's another
doing the right
guy. There's another guy who's supremely likable and comes off as being very genuine, right? And so
Yeah.
since he comes off as being genuine and likable, yeah, it's really easy to enjoy the guy's company. And so, and he's willing to engage in those topics, even about his own behavior, and it doesn't bother him very much. And so it's like, where's this idea come from that there's going to be a delineating line or a threshold with a buddy, where if they're doing something you don't approve of, that's just an instant we can't be friends then.
Let's take it one step further. Let's say that I disagree with some of the things. Well, we don't have to say it. I disagree with some of the things Speakeasy says. He and I've had discussions about that. I disagree with something Glenn says. I disagree with some things you say. But that doesn't mean that I'm not your friend.
Oh,
it
no,
doesn't
no,
mean
no,
that I'm
no,
not your.
no. It has to be 100% agreement in this cult, sir. Otherwise, how can I raise you up as a cult leader? We got to do the pyramid cult leader thing. So yeah, so it's basically a pyramid scheme, but for cults. So okay, so now you're over the 100-member threshold. So now we have to give you like a culty name. I don't know what that should be.
Okay, well, let me
But
know.
as you spread the message of the one true prophet of the Lord Andrew Wilson on your show, it's just
Lord Andrew Wilson, the grifter.
Right, but that's what I mean. Is that these kinds of things are silly. The truth is that if you had called me and I picked up the phone and you acted like a fucking douchebag, I would have just kind of been like, well, I'll see you later, right? I'm not really interested in working with you.
Call me when you're not being a douchebag.
Right, when you're not being a douchebag. Very simple, right? But what's happened instead is people draw these kind of connections, correlations, and things like this where they don't really exist, and they forget the humanity part of it. That Zerka's a real person with an online political persona. So where does the persona end and Zerka begin? I don't know. Could all this be a work? Maybe. Could all of this be a publicity stunt? Maybe. Could all of it be true? Yeah, maybe. But a reasonable individual would take a step back and say, well, let's see what happens as this develops over time before I can, make an informed decision.
It's odd so many people lack this perception. Because
it's not really. It's because it's agenda driven. The perception, you'll notice that the perception aligns with the agenda. So I have an agenda against Glenn Lawrence. Now suddenly I have an issue with with taking a reasonable stance on waiting for facts to come out on Zerka, because that makes Glenn Lawrence look bad. Isn't it interesting how the kind of accusation or the attack aligns with the agenda of trying to attack a third party, right?
It always does, right?
Yeah, doesn't it? Isn't that interesting? That's super weird, huh?
Yeah. It's
So-
it's really interesting to me that one of the things I find interesting is, of all the people that are critical, nobody is, and I'm, again, we can pick on base here. He can't identify anything that you actually do. It's all innuendo. It's all theory, and it's kind of just hype, right? Like the tweets that like the partial tweets that he sent out showing where you accepted his $500 offer, and oh yeah, let's make it 500 more because you've inconvenienced me. Obviously, that's you telling him, I don't want to do this, stop. And he just rolled with it. So now it's on him, right? Like I've given you the price of admission. You've accepted the price of admission. Shut the fuck up. Don't.
Yeah, my preference is just to never deal or talk about the guy again, right? Because
Exactly.
you know what? I don't care about his stupid ass $1,000. I think that's probably quite a bit of money for him, like it is for any normal person, right? And would to a normal person be a deterrent, like a barrier, a threshold barrier.
Right.
But not him, right? Nope. I'm so principled. I have to do this, even at my own detriment. And it's just like, why, right? What are we proving here? What are we
What
proving?
can you gain? What
Yeah,
is he really gain?
well, even if you win, what do I lose?
Right.
You know,
Well,
like
somebody made that point yesterday. I think it might have been Speakeasy. It could have been Jake. I think it was Easy though. That if Based had just acted in good faith, which he's not, it's obvious. If he just acted in good faith, kept his mouth shut leading up to the debate, not harassed literally everybody in the community, had the debate, even if he got shellacked, even if he got completely torn apart, everyone would have respected the fact that he showed up and he did what he said he was going to do, and he didn't make a big deal about it. Literally everyone would have. I would have respected that. Easy would have respected that. Glenn, people we have no idea who even exist would have respected the act of him showing up in good faith, not being not pulling a bunch of bitch ass nonsense ahead of it. And all of this drama that's been that he's at the root of. Everyone would have respected. You would have respected him. He probably would. He probably would have shaken his hand and said, "Hey, man, I really appreciate you going through with it and showing up. Takes a lot of nuts. Appreciate it." I can literally see you saying that. But now look at what's going to happen, or what there's the course that we've set. Right. Look at the course that he's plotted for himself.
yeah, but none of it's unsalvageable. That's what's so insane about it. So this just now coming down to pride, right?
Yeah.
So the guy could just be like, look, I let my mouth run away from me. Kind of new to this space and engaging with other people, and I'm kind of socially awkward. And hopefully we can just put the whole thing behind us. I think probably everyone would be like, yeah, that's cool, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But no, what'll happen instead is double down, and if the debate doesn't happen, there'll be kind of excuse making. More likely, he'll put it on me for some reason. I didn't accommodate this somehow due to being terrified, or something like that.
Yeah,
that's my kind of prediction of shakeout. But the thing is it doesn't seem all completely and totally unnecessary. It just seems totally
absolutely
unnecessary and foolish. And you could take maybe this an opportunity to spend kind of gold out of the shitstorm that you created for yourself. But man, I'm telling you, the kind of idea of internet pride of what will my 7 fans think? It's super difficult for people to get past, and if they don't swallow their ego and recognize that, hey, you are an entertainer. Like I did hear some of the guys' criticisms, right? And I think the kind of primary criticism he'll bring to the table is that I switch between making, depending on the situation, a religious argument, to also backing away from some issues. And then what he's claiming is there's a cope where I'm saying I'm just an entertainer. But the truth is, and I have literally hundreds of DMs to support this, I'm going to print out and I'll bring with me to the debate, that there's hundreds of men who DM me and ask me for advice. And they ask if they can pay me money to give them advice. The emails or DMs will usually start like this. Hey, look, Andrew, you really have a good head on your shoulder. I understand you're a busy man, right? You probably get hundreds of DMs a day, which is at this point kind of true. and they'll say, but I'd be happy to pay for a consultation or to discuss some things with you for a half hour, just to kind of run them by somebody who I think has a good head on their shoulders, or some variation of that. Okay. And I get these daily. And so what I always tell these people is the same thing, which is, from my perspective, I think that unless I have a really good kind of wide angle view of your life and know you a bit as a person, that it's kind of irresponsible in many ways for me to give you life advice, right? It's actually pretty irresponsible to do that. And so what I tell them is the same thing basically every time, which is, look, I'm an entertainer. And you really shouldn't be contacting an entertainer for life advice, but you should go to your family, or you should go to your friends, or you should go to trusted confidants, things like this, rather than an internet entertainer. And so that's kind of the pretext for why I stay in the entertainment domain, is to not be a grifter. Because the alternative would be, oh yeah, sure, yeah, $500, we'll do a 15-minute consultation. I'll line up 15 a day. Right?
Well, it's an interesting thing to me, because I have heard you multiple times tell people in various streams and chill streams and other lives that they'll ask you about why you won't do a religious debate, or why you will argue a religious point, but from a secular view. And you always say, without fail, that you're not supposed to debate religious views, that you're not qualified, you don't consider yourself qualified, and you would have to ask the church anyway before doing so, and you hadn't, so you won't. And I think that that's a very real take. I think that that's you're one of the few people I've heard to give that caveat, that, hey, this is why I argue from this point of view. And
well, there are men who I know well, who are Christian apologists, who've devoted their entire adult life since they were 16, in becoming as versed as they can possibly become in the Gospels and in the grounding epistemology and ontology of Christianity, and even the cosmology around it. And they
I'm going
have
to
studied
refrain from the epistemology jokes from last night.
That was funny. It's the study of the epistles. But
I've got two pistols right back there.
Yeah, I've got two epistles back there. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, yeah, they've spent their whole life in that. Okay, and these are people who are highly qualified to have a ministry of that sort, and I'm just not. But what people do is they want to kind of, just so you know, the reason that people try to hammer that the hardest is because they know it's a topic I want to stay away from. And so they feel like they can pinion me easier than if they do political topics, because they know I tend to stay away from religious debates altogether myself, for this reason. And so, of course, if you're opposition, you look for a weakness, you try to hammer the weakness. And so, oh, let's get into talk about religion, right? And if we get too deep into it, then it becomes Andrew teaching, right? And so he's going to back away. He'll look bad in a debate. That's always the goal. So, yeah, that's why that happens. But again, if I was a grifter, wouldn't the opposite be true? That I would go around and say, no, I'm complete authority on this, and I'm the best, and look at this following, and that's how you can tell that I'm giving a good message, and blah blah blah. Well, you would think that I would do the opposite, but instead, the criticism is that I tell people who are looking for life advice that I'm an entertainer, and that that's not the right thing to do as an entertainer, is to start an advice company just because I can. And then secondly, that because there's people who have spent their entire life in the realm of Christian apologetics that can lead people towards a much better salvific message than I can. that I yield to those people, you would think these are behaviors that are antithetical to grifting, right?
I mean, yeah, it's
You,
the exact opposite. Absolutely
yeah,
antithetical.
you would think that it's antithetical to grifting. That if I was grifting, I would do exactly the opposite. You know?
I said as much just a little over, well, almost an hour ago now when I first came on that I've never that, you know, I, for example, I paid to have your Crucible video site, you know, so I can see the videos. I like the videos. I like the music. I'm waiting for Skankstersis to be uploaded. That would be great if you could get on that. But you know, that's the music's great, the videos are great, everything's great. I get my money's worth, right? And when I send in
Oh
a
yeah.
super
Well,
chat,
nobody can say for $15 a month that they don't get a shitload of entertainment out of the
yeah.
Crucible. There's no doubt about that.
So it's you know, I can't see where anybody could claim that you are grifting. Like there are grifters out there, right? Like that promise that they're going to send you a patch or something they never send, or you know, whatever the
Yeah,
nonsense is,
because
right?
it's synonymous with swindle.
Right.
But what's
Yeah.
really interesting is how many people, especially at first, when there was tech difficulties or we had trouble getting the automated system to get packages out to people who had ordered various things. And the reason you don't hear people complaining about, oh, we didn't get our product or he hasn't delivered the video service, the reason you don't hear any of those complaints is because we took each one of those cases seriously and rectified whatever issues there were and did it quickly. I mean, within minutes. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a problem. Well, let's get that taken care of right away. You know what I mean? Let's do it right away.
Yeah.
And that's why where's my sea of accusers? Where's my sea of people who have been swindled by me? Where's the accusers and the people who say that they didn't get their product
Where are the
or that
Reddit
they
threads?
haven't gotten their video services delivered? That I behind the scenes fleeced them out of some cash for some alternative agreement. Where are these people? Well, the reason they don't exist is because I don't put myself in a situation where I can do you wrong. I just don't put myself in a situation to do that.
I'm not sure if you I'm not sure how early you got on, but one of the things I was talking about earlier is how one of the things I think that Based is unhappy about, and one of the things that he is I shouldn't say unhappy about, maybe confused by, is that he sees that you're making money doing this, and he thinks somehow that's wrong, that you're able to do that. Whereas, you know, I feel, you know, and looking at it from my point of view, I'm like, you're an example, right? Like you've laid down a framework, a pathway to making this a viable thing, right? And there's no reason I can't emulate it to some degree. And I'm like, so I have the exact opposite viewpoint of Base. I think that you're not a grifter. I think that you're a teacher that's showing us the way, right? And maybe we, you know, obviously I can't do everything that you've done, and I can't use the same methods in their entirety, but certainly the framework that you've laid down is very good.
And
I mean,
anybody can use it for free.
right. And you told me that. You actually literally told me that. Like, but it was like, I think one of the first conversations we had was, hey, look around. You know, if you decide you want to do content creation, which at that time I wasn't doing it, you know, like look around. If we can help you, we will. We've got built a framework here. I think you'd be good at it. Blah blah blah. And that was it. It was, and there was no like stress or hey, you know, look at what you can use, and then send me a big check. You know, like there was
Well,
none of that.
exactly. Well, the thing is same thing. It's really funny. So last night I sent a raid over to Speakeasy, right? And I popped in briefly afterwards, and this was shortly after the whatever chat had dumped in. I was so tired. I was like, guys, I can't even do the super chats. I'm so fucking tired. I'll have to do them tomorrow, which I will. I'll do them today when, you know, we'll do something, a chill stream or an invasion or something like that.
Yeah.
But I may have to fly out tomorrow to fill in on Tim Pool's show. I'm not sure. So I don't know, right? Everything's kind of topsy-turvy right now. But I sent a raid over and I went out and popped in. There was like 1.4 thousand live viewers in Speakeasy's chat at like 6 a.m. in the morning. that doesn't, creators don't usually do that when there's that type of size difference. They basically never do. The reason I do it for Speakeasy is because I just like his content. I like his panels.
Right.
I like his panel. That's it. I just happen to enjoy his panels. He allows people in the audience to come on and participate and tangle up. It's a good way to cut your teeth in some entry level debating. And he tends to be a good, fair host. That's it. There's no,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Now, I want to tell you the amount of money that I've charged Speakeasy. You ready? I've charged Speakeasy thus far for $0 and
Zero.
0 cents.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I've asked Speakeasy for is nothing. So the only thing I've ever asked him for is nothing, and the only thing I've ever charged him is nothing. Which clearly these are signs of extraordinary grifting. You know,
you're a master grifter.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the same thing with me, right? You come on my stream all the time. You raid me from time to time. You really actually did help me kind of find a path forward, which seems to be working. Gaining a little bit of speed and moving forward a little bit. And again, I use you. I contrast you and Brian, the way that you guys have structured your streams and businesses. And I tend more towards I honestly tend a little bit more towards your side than Brian's side. I feel like Brian is in a rarefied air, as I would call it, and I don't think I could duplicate it. But I don't see any reason why I can't.
Well, yet. But the thing, like, you don't know yet. None of you guys know yet. All of you are super, super new into, into this arena.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really start getting breaks and stuff like this and start getting my name out there until about 2 years in, when I started kind of taking, I kind of started taking more interest in wider communities and building these external infrastructures so that people could enjoy and move in very easily to the Crucible, who enjoy that type of content. And then, we made all that infrastructure, all of your advertisements, all of your everything. You can do all over that Discord and other places that the Crucible provides if you're a content creator for nothing. It's totally free of charge. Massive Discord server, right? Thousands upon thousands of people who go through and find your content this way. It's assisted tons and tons of creators to stack their live viewership up, many of whom don't participate within the Crucible community at all. In fact, most of them don't. KOE doesn't participate in the Crucible community. In fact, if I go through the list of the most of the people who most advertise inside of the Discord, who we drive traffic to, most of them don't actually participate in this community, and we don't care. That's not the point of the infrastructure. The point of the infrastructure, even including Based Oracle, who also used that infrastructure to market his videos.
That's
and
how I found
I never once said a word about it. The entirety of his current following is based around me. All of it.
I'm going to read Anson Knowles' super chat here. Send in $5. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Andrew's grift is saving minds and making profit. He is the perfect example of who we need to emulate. Ignore the envy of detractors.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I just recently did a fundraising stream for a cause I thought was noble. Yeah, and total grift.
Yeah.
I secretly pocketed that money, and they're never going to see any of it. Haha. My diabolical plan has worked. Everything I worked towards so that I could pocket $1,800 in a live stream fundraiser. Ha!
Yeah,
that'll teach them.
Yeah. So you were critical of my one. You were critical of my one TTS a little bit last night. I had to. You said I was right, but I was also wrong. So I thought that was very funny. I actually was going to send in another one, but I went to sleep instead.
Well, I didn't want her to bolt. That was it.
Yeah,
like,
I figured it
I was
had more
like,
to do with
I was
her
like,
shutting
well, we're gonna reel this in. Normally, I'd be the first one on the back of the bandwagon when Grid One sends this in, just like driving the point home. But I really don't want this chick to bolt. And like, you can get a good feeling for these things, especially if you're on the panel itself, of if a
Yeah.
person is, they're getting jumpy, fidgety, they're ready to book out. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, if I hit now and don't kind of rein this in, she's gonna bolt. So
Well, you got her for another 6 hours, so
right,
you were
right,
solid there.
yeah. So I would
Solid
say
read.
that's a Andrew 1, Grid 1 0 on
Yeah,
that show.
true.
Even though there's many other shows where it's Grid 1 4, Andrew 0, but that one I'm going to take the W on this one, bro.
Yeah. It was interesting because she was such an old. She didn't even. I guess she didn't look that young to me, right? Like I was like, she's kind of weird to be on the panel. And then I caught the thing about her book, and then I thought maybe she was there because of the book, but then I caught her talking about selling herself and things like that. I was just weird, man. It's just a whole weird conversation. It was a lot of demon going on over on that side of the table. So I don't know. Terrible.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, I guess that's the thing I don't understand. See, here's the thing. Sometimes, right, secretly, so in my heart of hearts, when I'm kind of alone, I'm playing a video game at night and there's nobody around, I kind of whimsically think to myself, right, that I kind of would like to see the situation reversed for a day, where you could put a guy like Based Oracle in my shoes for a day, and if you did, I bet you all of those things I don't do, he would do. And then if I criticized him for doing those things, he would say you're a hater and a seether.
Oh,
That's what I think. That's what I think.
You're probably right. You're probably
Yeah.
right.
So
do you think he's going to show?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
No, I don't. I think I did think he was going to, and
Until the grand, right? Until the
yeah,
grand.
but it makes no sense to essentially fire the proxy communicator and the moderator, say that they're not going to take care of the fees to fly the moderator out, even though I took care of the lion's share of the burden, which is housing for the guy. That makes no sense. You can't have a debate without the agreed to moderator. And it was most certainly, even if you quibble and say emphatically, well, he didn't technically agree to it. There was a reason why in that stream that you guys played, I kept on repeating myself over and over and over to get these agreements.
I knew what it was. Yeah.
And that it was so I could get it on record. And he's like, "Oh, you need it on record, huh?" Yeah, this is why, and this is why I needed it on record. The reason I needed it on record is so that when you started weaseling, right, I had you agreeing to these things 14 times in a row, so that we know it wasn't, oh, I spoke out of turn, or I wasn't sure, or this type of thing. I made sure that I repeated myself so much that it was nauseating, and that he had to agree to each one of those terms.
Yeah.
And he did, and we have it on record. And so that's it. As far as I'm concerned, that's case closed. The 28th, there's a debate. He's supposed to foot the bill for Lawrence to moderate. He's supposed to fly him and Lawrence out. He's supposed to procure some type of studio for us to do this in, if that's what he wants to do. And he pays me $1,000 for we do the debate, and he goes home. Simple.
So why would he not agree? Why would he not? You're talking about a flight, a rental car, and a couple of meals. That's not that much, right? And a hotel.
Well, it depending on your circumstances, it could be a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
For maybe for you, you could be like, oh, $5,000 trip, no big deal. But for other people, they look at it and they're like, man, $5,000 is 2 years of savings, right?
That's true.
True. But I didn't make any of these agreements.
Well, you wanted him to do it remotely. He demanded in person.
Yeah.
He demanded it.
Yeah, I agree.
And then he
But the
objected.
truth
so
is I think
strenuously.
I think the more he thought about it, he's like, wait, so Glenn, I'm going to fly Glenn out here. He's going to moderate a debate, which he could lose, right?
Well, he's
Plus, I
gonna
have to
lose.
pay this guy $1,000, and then Glenn and him are going to go out shooting and having a good time, and I'm not even allowed to participate. Yeah, stupid. Ah, well, that was a bad deal. Well, then why'd you agree to it?
Yeah, I'm gonna miss not being able to go shooting with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, the 21st is, or the 28th is coming quick. I mean,
know.
it's right around the corner. And
know.
I haven't heard any communication about where this is taking place, who our new moderator is, right? Nothing, because he basically found an excuse to dive bomb the proxy who was setting all of this up.
Right. And well, he did he not originally want it to say that it was didn't you give him 8 days before or 8 days after the 28th as well? You even gave him like, even if he couldn't make it that day, if he had an important meeting.
Yeah, I wanted
or
to make sure that he had some grace. Like, what if Grammy dies, right? Like, what if Grammy dies? Yeah, on the 27th. Okay.
Right.
Well, I don't want to hold that against the guy.
Sure.
So yeah, I'll give him some grace there, right? That seems reasonable. I didn't do anything that I think is outside of the realm of reason. If I go off to Tim Pool's show, they fly me out, and they fly a moderator out, and they take care of those expenses so that I don't have to. Right?
Yeah. I'll be happy to be the
point.
moderator. I will be happy to be the moderator. I will be the most impartial moderator you've ever seen, and then we'll go shooting. I'll bring guns. Tiki Tax sends in $20. Take my money, you grifters.
Fucking grifter. Fucking grifter.
My wife
piece
will.
Of shit,
my
dude.
wife will take that money and spend it on something ridiculous, like food or internet, or pay the Streamlabs or something. I don't know.
Or she'll pay, or she'll take it and it's none of your business what she does. Right?
No, it is my business.
Not you. I'm saying to the external people, right?
Oh, well, to Tiki Tac is great. He is legend, an internet legend, and I like that guy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, he's a person in super chats over on the Crucible as well. Nice guy. All of these communities have a lot of good people in them. All of them do. But that's by the way, that's one of the reasons why they're looked at in sort of an envious way if people don't fit in, or they're not matching well, or people don't want to deal with them, then suddenly it becomes the fault of it's a grand conspiracy, and the grand conspirator is Andrew Wilson with his quote ball washers, just trying to bring you down, right? Though the evidence to the contrary is that I did everything I could do to help bring that guy up. It just wasn't good enough, right? So
right. Special K, should the moderator be impartial, or does it matter?
No, I think that moderator bias is fine as long as you're not biased in the debate.
Yeah, I mean, right.
So I think I'm a super biased person when it comes to political ideology. Sure. But I'm also one of the fairest debate moderators on planet Earth because I understand arguments. And I don't take a side during the debate. I can totally disagree with everything you're saying and still concede that you made a better argument than your opposition.
Right. And that's kind of, I can't add to that. That's exactly pretty much what I was going to say. I mean, me personally, if I were the moderator, I have the ability to be absolutely impartial. I just don't care one way or the other during the debate. After the debate, sure. Before the debate, yeah. But during the debate, no, there would be no, I wouldn't be on anybody's side. And you have to understand, this goes back, Special K, just since you brought that up, there are people like me out there all over the place. I believe that Andrew is one of them. When I was racing, I would loan out my equipment, my staff, parts. I would pull parts off my own car to make sure my competitor could make it on track because I wanted to beat them on the track, not in the pits. And I believe that if you're any kind of honorable man, that's how you want to see things done. You want to, you have to be at that. There's a point in time where you just have to be completely impartial and not really care about your own personal outlook or views, and look at, I hate to say greater good because that's not really the right point, but you just have to be impartial, be able to say, yep, this guy's right, this guy's wrong, or whatever. So
yeah, and it's also nice. It's also nice to build a repertoire with your competition. So if something like that happens to you, they take care of you back, right?
Yeah, right. Well, and they don't hold that, they realize that, hey, you know what? Don was really impartial back then and said, take my stuff. And then he didn't have to do that. He could have been a dick. He could have been completely biased towards himself, but he wasn't. And, I think people,
Yeah,
I think that some people can do that. Some people cannot. I understand that some people cannot. If they hate people, they just hate them. That's the end of it. I'm just not one of those people. So,
yeah, I think both ways are fine. I think it's fine to hate people and just never want to deal with them again. And, you kind of think they're scumbags or, whatever it is. I think that that's fine too. That's kind of your prerogative, but sometimes kind of this need, the overwhelming need for, well, I'd like to stand out, or I'd like to be in X position, or this kind of thing, can lead you to doing some pretty stupid things that you probably will later regret.
I mean, we also need to be clear that the moderator is not the one that determines the victor. The moderator is simply there to keep the flow of the debate going, and
the audience is going to determine who the victor is, but who's the audience?
I was making sure the chat understood that, because I think that there's some misunderstanding there. So,
all the moderator does is call balls and strikes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Ball, strike, ball, strike. That's it. That's the moderator's job.
Right. It's an interesting, this is all great, interesting stuff. So with based, or not, we can't call him, with body odor, with the way he's going about this, if he doesn't show, I mean, at that point, does he have, I mean, obviously his credibility shot, there's all of this stuff.
No, that won't be the case. So,
okay.
I can tell you what the likelihood.
Little foreshadowing.
Yeah. What the likelihood is, he'll bring something to the table, some reason why it was actually my fault. So maybe he'll say, I was trolling the whole time, just to teach this guy a lesson. That's one avenue that he could take. And then any of my haters can go, haha, we got one over on you, which does nothing to me, but that could be a way in which you try to save face. Or alternatively, he could say, well, there's no moderator and I can't trust anybody to do this correctly, or this is moving outside the confines of our agreement, or there's any number of different copes which he can come up with.
Will he appeal to your black ex-wife?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think ultimately, though, as long as there's kind of this the small audience of I hate Andrews, where are they going to go? Right, his stream's the place for them. So, I don't think that anything's going to stop that from happening, and I don't really care either way. Right, so no, I don't think so. I think it'll be a blow to his credibility with people who matter, but it won't be a blow to his credibility for whatever little seed gang he has,
Right. What else you got going on these days, Andrew? You got some stuff coming up?
I got a shitload of stuff coming up. I got Tim Pool on the 21st.
Tim Pool.
Yeah, but I just got contacted today because they wanted to fly me out Friday for another special show against a large libertarian channel to duke that out. But I'm not sure that I can, because I have some other commitments with some smaller channels, unfortunately. have some of these pesky commitments that I made. I should blow them off, right? So I could go on to the big show, but I'm just not, I guess, that into grifting. So I'm going to kind of keep those commitments to the smaller channels that I promised, even though some of these guys get 4 live viewers. But so what? You know what I mean? If I'm already scheduled on the 21st, then I can kind of keep all the commitments, right?
Sure.
And then, yeah, we got a ton of stuff coming on. We got Rachel's
Awesome.
debating Saturday on occult feminism against a feminist occultist. So
Oh,
that's going to
really?
be, yeah, that's going to be a huge debate.
Awesome.
I would say there's, you know, it wouldn't shock me if there's 5,000 plus there for that debate. And then of course we have a huge debate Friday, which Zen Shapiro is moderating on theology between 2 huge personalities in the theological world, and that's going on Friday night. So there's a lot of stuff going on just this week, and then moving in next week, it gets even more wild with Tim Pool and Tim Cass in the culture war, and then we have a bunch of other stuff going on. I think there's a dual appearance coming up with me and Rachel together for the first time on a IRL show. I think that's coming up soon too. And we got a ton, dude. A ton of great content coming up.
That's awesome, man. That sounds really great. That's wow. That's really cool. I know you've been working really hard on it, and you've been just, you know, hate to use the tired expression, tirelessly working and improving your endeavor, but I have to
Well,
be honest with you.
so is the team. It's not just me, you know. There's
Right.
I have a small team, and those guys, they work their fucking balls off, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, they work hard, and you can see everything on the channel. The performance continues to grow, and they continue to grow with the performance. So you see that they make better and better thumbnails. They make better presentation. There's always better lighting. There's always more improvement. Week after week after week, it's always more improvement, more improvement, more improvement, and it's going to continue that way until we get where we're going.
I'm in that same, I'm trying to improve things all the time as well. I try and do something, maybe not every day, but I'm trying to improve things. I don't, I'm not on your level yet. We all know that, but really impressive what you've done there, Andrew. To be honest, just outside looking in, unbiased view, it's pretty impressive. There's no, I mean, I'm sure there are people that work harder, but I don't know that there are people that work harder in the industry that's doing it for more people, right? Like building a community. I think that's the interesting thing. The difference between some other creators that I have caught wind of here and there, and the stuff that you're doing is that you're not doing this just for you. Not to paint you as an altruistic individual, but just from personal experience, I know that a lot of what you do is to help other people, including me. And I haven't paid you a dime, other than like the odd dono chat or something, which is awesome.
Yeah, but I would have gotten the same super chats whether or not I had done that or not.
That's true.
Right. So I mean, that's the funny part is like, ultimately, from my perspective, the way that I think of it, I think to myself, if we have it built, if we have this great infrastructure built, and I'm the only one using it, what the fuck is the point of that? Why not let everybody use it? Let everybody use it. Let them have fun with it. You know what I mean? Let them go in and advertise and talk to people and begin their community building and things like that. It's totally free. I've never charged anybody anything. You don't have to even get a Discord membership, right? I take care of all that cost of that too. I take care of all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, the whole thing. I because I've been, I'm relatively new to the YouTube live stream world, at least. And it's interesting how many people make you pay for things, and you're just kind of like, that's
everybody does, man. Everybody's like, look, if you want to use my brand or my name or my this or my that or blah 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 blah, then you're going to pay me X amount up front, and there's going to be blah blah blah, and here's your monthly fee. I mean, it's very common in this industry. I don't do any of that. I've just never done any of that. In fact, there was a guy who had a good idea for a clips channel. I think you guys probably seen. It's called the Bloodsport Clips channel. And he makes really good clips. And he contacted me a while back and said, hey, can I do this channel? And I was like, well, I'm not going to be affiliated with it. If you're going to use the branding and this and that to build your channel, though, I'd like 50% of that. I think that's reasonable. And he's like, yeah, it's totally reasonable. I'm like, but if you fail or rise on your own merits, he did a good job, right? He's doing a good job. And I'm not even affiliated with the guy. He just wanted to build his brand out of that. And it's like, that's fine. That's fine. You can do that.
Cool.
No big deal there. But ordinarily the split on that's 80-20. That's the industry standards, 80-20.
That's interesting. So I'm always very interested in how this all works kind of behind the scenes. I'll have to, at some point when you're not ridiculous busy and just, normally busy, I'll have to pick your brain about some of it. Cause it
works like every other product on planet Earth works. So here's how the product works. In this case, what is the product? Well, usually it's the streamer. The streamer is the product.
Sure.
That the streamer is the brand, the streamer is the product, the streamer is the entertainer. Just like, who's the product when it comes to Metallica? The band, right?
Right. Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. The band's the product. So then the band builds a brand, and they build kind of a massive following off of the brand slowly. Sometimes they catch breaks, sometimes they catch no breaks. Sometimes they're out there for 15 fucking years touring before they get a single break. But either way, they build the brand up and into a fan base, and then the fan base wants to support them because they enjoy the product, which in this case would be their music. But it's no different in the streaming world. There's tons of people who want to make a buck off of your name, and it's usually okay to let them do that, as long as as long as they're not abusing it or this kind of thing. It's usually okay. It's usually not a big deal. There's tons and tons of people who do that. So it's no different than any business. You have a brand for the business. You're selling a product. In this case, the product is you. That's it.
Interesting. Trucking Dude sends in $4.99. Keeping the grift train rolling. Shave your arms. No, I won't do that. I'll send you back your $5. Maybe Andrew will. I don't know.
No, you shave your fucking arms and show me your tummy right now, boy. You do it right now.
That was crazy too. A lot of people have said that they were introduced to you or the moment that you won their heart was the I can't believe the line you gave Wes about assault accosting a man in the state of Florida, or something, or in a stand your ground state, whatever it is that you said there. I thought that was pretty funny myself. I just don't remember.
Yeah. Do you usually try to attack armed men in Florida? Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's the worst. So I mean, half the people on that stage were packing, and I was just thinking to myself, how fucking insane do you have to be? And then when I said that, he got a lot less aggressive very quickly, moved back over to his side of the stage, and it was just like it's the kind of the worst menace to the convict is the armed man who doesn't care, right? And it's like, look, it doesn't really matter if you're 3 times my size. Mr. 45 doesn't care, so they don't care. It's non-discriminatory. It just makes you a bigger target.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing. I think that's one of the reasons why here in Tennessee you see very few people that actually get overtly aggressive, is because almost everyone here should be considered to be armed. Yeah, if you see somebody, even like I was in Home Depot the other day, and this like super thin, like he was what I don't know the exact term. I mean, he looked like just anybody's you know young dad, right? Like a 25, 26-year-old dad. He had the shopping cart. He was trying to roll a stroller, and he had he had an M&P, a full size M&P on a IWB on his hip, and he didn't even bother having his shirt over it because we were open carry, and he's just strolling through Home Depot. He looked like the least likely guy in most places to have a firearm, and he's got a full size duty gun hanging out of his belt. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's why we don't have these problems here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, I'm going to get out of here this morning.
All
I
right,
need some
man.
breakfast.
Yeah.
I got some errands. But I did want to kind of pop on and
Hey, I
just
appreciate it, man.
give you, because I noticed you were talking about this, and I thought you'd probably want to hear, my takes about it. So
I always want to hear your side of the story. I always want to hear your takes too, because you're funny, and comedy keeps me going. So
yeah, me too. But the truth is, still to this day, I still actually have no hard feelings towards this guy. I just don't care enough about him to have any feelings
see,
towards him.
I'm in that same boat, man.
I just don't care enough. It's in many ways, I'll be relieved after the 28th is done and it's settled one way or the other, because
my only real problem, I don't know
annoying.
if you heard this part. I don't know if you heard this part of it. My only real problem is that he lied on stage directly to Jake, right? Like he knew he was on camera. Jake asked him a direct question and he lied, and then they rolled the tape. Now I was behind rolling the tape because I was listening that when that whole deal went down, and I knew that he said that he would take care of Glenn's expenses. And Glenn and I had actually talked about that he couldn't believe that Base was going to actually cover it, like that was kind of shocking. And but he
mouth out there writing checks your ass can't cash.
Nothing like that, man. That gets you every time. Man, I'm not going to keep you. You've been great. I really appreciate you dropping by and having the discussion with me. You have a really great day, man. Get some sleep, catch a nap here and there.
Prison tuber and known internet scammer Wes Watson got into an altercation at the Fresh and Fit live event in Miami with Andrew Wilson. Wes, who was attempting to sell a multi-level marketing scheme to the many audience members in attendance, was countersignaled by Andrew and the leader of Jortsland, made by Jim Bob, in a stunning back and forth which ignited the internet. Known grifter Watson was summarily humiliated and laughed at by the collective of the manosphere. A complete and total victory.
I would say I got that voice perfect.
Thanks for watching. There is hope in Jesus Christ. He will never leave you or forsake you. Like and subscribe and join our Discord for friends and more.